Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. My name is Jorge Gonzalez. I'm a real estate agent, an author, and a speaker with my lovely friend here.
I'm Elle. I'm a relationship coach and also a real estate agent.
And today's episode is going to be, Am I Ready to Date? Oh my God, this is going to be juicy. So, am I ready to date? That's definitely a very important question that I think, to be completely honest, a lot of people get it wrong because I think a lot of us are not ready to date. But so for you, am I ready to date? Why was that an important topic that you wanted to talk about today? Why is that so important to you?
Because I wanted to tell our viewers that, or talk about it, to make sure when they want to start dating, to ask themselves that if they're ready to date, is there something from the past relationships that they're still bothering them? Is there something from their childhood that is bothering them? So if they want to have a successful relationship going forward, I recommend for understanding and basically cleaning up what has happened in the past and be in the space of opening themselves up to love and be loved. But that process takes time and it takes some steps to take to get to that space. So the best question to ask yourself is, am I ready to date? Am I still in that space of the past? Did I go beyond that? These are the questions that I recommend that you ask yourself prior to starting to date.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I've met a lot of males and females that went directly into another relationship when they were not ready to date. Dating, let's just say 15 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, dating back then is not the same as dating today. So make sure you heal those wounds that need to be healed before you get into a relationship. Because not, in reality, it's going to be a toxic relationship if you don't heal. Because your next partner, male or female, they are not your exes. And a lot of times we treat our new partners as our exes, and we assume that they're going to do the same thing to us that was done in the past, and that is not fair to our new partners.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've seen that a lot. And the reason I say that is because some of my previous friendships or relationships actually thought they can get away with certain things that they got away with their past partners, and that wasn't happening for me. And this is why those relationships ended. So based on this statement of, am I ready to date? What are some of the worst things that we can bring to a relationship? I mean, see if one of those actually fits some of our viewers, because like I said, some of us, we don't hear our parts that we need to. What would be one of the worst ones, you think, in a relationship?
It all depends of what your values are and what are your priorities. So if in the past the interaction was in a way that there was no communication from either side, and now you understand that you want to be with a person who communicates well, and you can sit down and talk about your next move, your feelings, this what you did and it kind of bothered me, let's talk about it. And if you're in that space that you want to have a conversation and communicate, and the other person in the past didn't want to do that, then it's best to make sure that the new partner or whoever that you're going out with, you communicate these wants or these priorities that you have or that you want, so they would know that this is who you are and you like to communicate. And if they're not in that space and they don't want to communicate and they want to have a very surface relationship, then that person is not for you.
what you just said pretty much talks about every relationship that I had after my ex-wife, is that the females didn't want to communicate. They didn't want to talk about the problem. They didn't want to put everything on the table to fix certain situations. So for some reason, they thought if we don't talk about it, it's going to go away. It doesn't go away.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, things have to be said. Even if you have to, I've always said, even if you scream at me, at least I know what you're feeling, and then we can work from there. But just ignoring somebody and just not talking about it, that doesn't fix the problem. It only becomes a bigger problem.
You know, George, in my work, I see, including myself, in the past, I would not, or I could not understand what I was feeling at that moment because there was a blockage from the past. So I had to work on myself to get to a point that, okay, now what are you feeling today, right now? Does this move, or does this this person, this interaction made you, the questions that I would ask myself. And I recommend that you do the same thing. If that emotions that we all have, and if we don't bring it out, or we don't say, okay, I'm angry because of this and this and this. Why am I angry? Let's just sit down, give myself a few minutes and see, just give yourself some time. And actually there's some techniques that I can be happy to share with you that will help you to befriend your feelings and be okay with that, and then go to the next step. A lot of people don't want to go there because it's painful.
Yeah.
So, but the pain, it will be there, but it will slowly will go away by the steps that I can share with you on how to kind of manage that.
You know, with what you said, and I'm guilty of this too. So I'm not just blaming the females that I had relationships with and stuff like that. I'm not just blaming you. I have stuff to blame too, but the thing that I used to do is that when you ignore me, I'm fighting myself in my mind. It's like I'm arguing with you, and I'm going through that whole process, and I'm playing a movie, like my part and your part, and I'm yelling at you, we're fighting and stuff like that, we're arguing, and then by the time you don't want to ignore me anymore, the conversation already happened. But the problem is that it happened in my mind, but it never really happened between us both. So the problem was never fixed, and we just throw it underneath the rug. But the problem is always there, and it's there not just for me, but it's there for you because you never spoke about it. And it just piles up. And at some point, you know, one of you or both of you explodes in the communication at the very end, where it ends bad, or somebody gets cut off. But definitely communication, and I need to get better at it too, because like I said, I mean, because I'm such a giver, and I'm always with the assumption that if I give, they're gonna give, but they don't realize that. And I need to say, look, I'm giving you all this much. When do you plan on giving me in return? I don't do that. But I don't do that because I've always felt that I didn't have to do that. But that was my mistake. So going forward, I will be doing that. It's saying, look, I've been doing all these things, and yet I don't see anything reciprocating. So either we fix this issue, or in reality, we're going to have a bigger problem, which means we can't have this relationship anymore.
But George, and there is a way to communicate, and there is another way.
Now, just because I'm heated doesn't mean that this is how I say it. I mean, come on. I'm very soft, sexy voice, you know what I mean? I can do that, and I do that all the time. But obviously with this conversation, I get very animated and stuff like that, but I do say it softly because I do care about, you know, obviously my partner's feelings and the people that I have in my life. I care about their feelings. I'm not this heartless, you know, individual. I mean, I care about people.
Just saying, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying whenever you want to communicate your needs,
yes,
there is a way that to be considerate about the other person's feeling and yours, and then bring it out as, you know, so it will go together well, and not just like talking about yourself and this is what I want. I mean, that doesn't work. You have to kind of, the conversation, it can't be just one way.
Yeah.
It has to be like a circular. It has to go and come back.
Now, how do you feel if, let's just say me and you have an argument today? Should we talk about it today, or should we wait until somebody gets drunk and talk about it when we're drunk? Because a lot of people do that. They wait until they're drunk, intoxicated and whatnot, and then they have the courage to bring things up, and then, oh my God, it just blows up. What do you think about that? Should we talk about it when we're sober now, or should we talk about it when we're all fumigated with alcohol?
No. But the best time to talk about it is when you're actually consciously there. So if it's today, something happened and me and you have an argument or anything that happened, I would say, George, would it be possible to talk about this is what just happened today? Are you feeling up to it? Do you need some time to think about it? You need to process it on your own, or would you like to talk about it right now?
So basically, are you ready to talk about it, or do you want to wait a little bit more?
Yeah,
but we should talk about it. Not sure if it's today or tomorrow.
Yes, because some people need to process.
Yeah.
Some people, they want to talk right away. But in my way, understanding is best to process it a little bit on your own, and don't jump to that interaction right away, because then stuff comes from the past, and then it just gets in the way of that conversation. So it's best to either sit down, journal, write down, or if you want to review it in your own head, there's a few different ways that you can process it.
You know, this also makes me realize that even though I'm always ready to talk and ready to argue and talk about a certain situation, I never really thought that the person on the other side had to take some time to process, not to figure out what they're gonna say, but just to realize and really put the pieces together to then maybe they need time to come up with the solution, and we never really gave them that time to come up with the solution.
Yeah,
I never really thought about that.
Yeah, sometimes they need to reflect.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to reflect on, okay, why did I say that? And was it appropriate for me to say that? Is that something about me that I am just kind of projecting? So if that person, whoever, sits down and really reflects, thinks about it, journal it, whatever it's best for them, then it will become easier to have that conversation. To see where they can go from there.
See, this is why I like that we're doing these videos, because I'm actually learning from this. I'm realizing some things about myself. Not to say that I was to blame. It's just that I have some faults in the situation as well. Communication is key, and we really do have to respect the fact that even though we're ready to talk about an issue or a problem that arises, the other person may not be ready for the reasons that you mentioned, and we really need to be come to a mutual understanding that yes, we're going to talk about it, but just maybe not immediately, until we both cool down. When we don't say things that maybe we don't want to say, we can't take back. So that's important, definitely.
Yeah. So if you are interested in looking at this in a deeper level, I actually offer a complimentary 30-minute discovery call. So I guess we can put that at the bottom of this.
And as you guys can see, I mean, I'm learning from her quite a bit. She's triggering me in certain ways to really realize what faults I had, as at least my part in my relationship that I've had in the past. So if you guys need you guys have questions or need some help, or just a phone call, a text, or email away, and you'll find this information either on if you see it on her social media platforms or mine. The information will be down in the description below. And thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. See you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.